Hello, welcome to Prime Business. Let's settle down for the details with me, Emma Davis. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abujinapo, has disclosed that government is reviewing the value-added tax component of the tax build-up on the cost of exploration. He noted that the move is expected to reduce the tax burden on the exploration of natural minerals and make it more attractive to increase foreign direct investments in the sector. He spoke at the opening of the 2024 West African Mining and Power Conference and Exhibition. Here's more.
The 2024 West African Mining and Power Conference and Exhibition, WAMPOC-WAMPEX, a three-day conference and exhibition, is expected to bring together strategic private and public industry stakeholders to deliberate on sustainable investment for the mining and power industry in West Africa. The conference will host technical workshops and extended B2B networking opportunities for over 80 exhibitors from 16 countries. With the conference dwelling heavily on sustainable investments for the sector, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abujinapo, disclosed the ministry's intention to review the value-added tax component on the cost of exploration.
We are, for example, working with the Ghana Revenue Authority and the Ghana Chamber of Mines under the guidance of government's economic management team to explore the best framework for treating critical inputs such as value-added tax VAT on exploration. If properly structured, it will reduce the financial burden on exploration companies, making it more attractive to invest in exploration while safeguarding the nation's interests.
On the issue of refining the country's raw materials, the Member of Parliament for Damongo stated that a legislative instrument which will ban the import of raw bauxite and other minerals is being worked on.
We are also in the process of enacting legislative instrument pursuant to Section 28 of the Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation Act 2018, Act 976, to restrict the export of bauxite in its raw form.
The president of the Ghana Chamber of Mines and vice president of External Affairs, Goldfields West Africa, Michael Akafia, stressed the need for sustainable mining practices.
Adopt responsible and innovative practices to enhance not just our productivity, but also promote environmental stewardship, social responsibility, and for our people, more importantly, community development. We have no choice but to embrace sustainable principles and practices as we navigate the complexities of our industry.
On his part, the special guest of honor and representative of the Asante-Hene, Odeneho Ochre Kusi Intrama, Esumeja Mai-Hene and Asante Mai Benkum-Hene, called for increased local content participation in the industry.
Through the chamber, we've been able to make sure that most of the materials required to work in the mining industry are locally sourced.
Yeah.
And especially when we get into the mining operations services area, and I'm so glad that tailings dams have been added to the categories of works that are left for locals. We need the money. Bring it, engage us, partner us, and we should be able to drive some of these things on your behalf.
The 2024 West African Mining and Power Conference and Exhibition, WAMPOC-WAMPEX, was held on the theme, The Mining and Power Hub, Driving Sustainable Investment Opportunities in West Africa.
Meanwhile, Senior Manager of Tax and Regulatory Unit at Deloitte Ghana, Gilbert Yuenchi-Addo, has advised government to do a detailed analysis before reviewing the value-added tax component of the tax build-up on the cost of exploration.
To do a proper analysis to ensure that, look, when we do this, in terms of revenue generation for tax purposes, have we created a gap? If a gap has been created, what are the remedial measures that government intends to take to ensure that that is also in a way managed or mitigated? So it's very important.
All right.
Also, we need to look at the laws and other regulatory issues surrounding some of these things so that in the end, we are seeking to ensure investor confidence. Let's look at what these other countries are doing Possibly we are only focusing on VAT, but there may be other things that they are doing in order to garner such an investment to be done in their jurisdiction. It is important that we do that comparative studies in order to ensure that whatever decision we take in order to show up the investment in this sector is done right and well. There is the need for them to do a detailed analysis of their cost structure. Because of course, if you read what the minister said, they are looking at drilling and other laboratory cost. Are there any other cost? Its emphasis is on the VAT. Are there any other costs that could be looked at? For now, I can't necessarily speak to each cost component because it's a highly regulated sector. But the key players in the industry would know some of these things I'm positing to. And if that is done well, I think that it will help rake in the needed investment that is required for that sector to grow. And once that sector grows, I think that all other tax handles will be affected, and it will also create the necessary employment for the country as a whole.
Away from mining, the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications and its sister group, the EMI's Chamber of Ghana, have called for increased attention and support for the telecommunications industry as well as the digital payments ecosystem. The two chambers have designed an elaborate plan to meet flag bearers of political parties to present the Telecoms Manifesto to them. The following report has more.
As part of moves to improve its operations, the two chambers say they will engage all flag bearers of political parties with representation in parliament ahead of the elections. According to them, some of the issues they intend to look at is the repeal of the e-levy law, creating a conducive and supportive policy and regulatory environment, and pushing for an enabling tax regime. It added that it will also advocate for strict laws to protect industry infrastructure, reduce costs of doing business and ease of doing business, as well as working to save players in the industry from indebtedness.
MTN Ghana has commenced its annual employee volunteer program dubbed 30 Days of Yellow Care, which is aimed at impacting the communities they operate in. According to Chief Executive of MTN Ghana, Stephen Blewett, this year's Yellow Care initiative is dedicated towards bridging the digital divide in the country.
By the theme Education for Rural and Remote Communities, the 2024 Yellow Care Initiative will provide some schools with educational facilities in line with digitalization and technology. As part of the initiative, MTN will provide containerized labs, digital boreholes, and digital literacy workshops for some schools and communities. In an interview, Chief Executive of MTN, Stephen Blewett, said the initiative showcases the company's commitment to bridging the digital gap in the country.
Well, the impact for society is positive because we're trying to do two things. One, we're trying to bring digital literacy. People need to understand the digital world, and people in far-flung communities, rural communities, are not exposed. So we need to teach them how to use digital things, and also through our Connect and Quench boreholes, we bring essential things like water, but monitoring it via digital means to make sure the borehole's working, there's issues, we know when to fix it. And to turn it on and off, we have all that through digital.
Deputy Minister of Education, Reverend John Intim Fojo, commended MTN for their dedication towards improving education in Ghana.
That the sole meaning of life is to serve humanity. And that is the passion that is driving the Yellow Days of Care that MTN over the years have been embarking on. It is a period that hands and heart, as the CEO put it, Stephen put it, connect and step out of the office and go out there to make a difference in people's lives and in the lives of the community. And this passion, the next 30 days, are going to be celebrated. We're going to be going into hard to reach areas, and I'm particularly excited about the focus on education and education in rural areas, education in remote areas.
MTN's 30 Days of Yellow Care is a group-wide employee volunteerism program aimed at giving employees the opportunity to play an active role in community development projects.
Now, the Veterinary Services Directorate is calling on government to fast-track the review of the Diseases Animal Act 1961. According to Greater Accra Regional Veterinary Director, Dr. Joseph Kofi Abu, stakeholders along the animal production value chain since 2010 have been requesting an update of the Act to clearly define their roles to prevent the recurrent overlap of their duties. He was speaking at the launch of the World Food Safety Month ahead of the World Food Safety Day celebrated on June 7. Animal health is a crucial element of food safety. Ensuring the well-being of animals in the food supply chain is essential to preventing foodborne diseases and safeguarding public health. It is for this reason the Veterinary Services Directorate of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has launched World Food Safety Month. Speaking at the launch, Greater Accra Regional Veterinary Director, Dr. Joseph Kofi Abu, made an appeal for the acceleration of the passing of the Animal Health Act into law.
We have the Disease of Animal Act, that is 1961. It is very, very old and outdated. And we are working very hard to update it. We are saying that the Animal Health Bill is very, very critical for food security and public health. It has been long overdue. It has gone and came back due to some technicalities. So it started, as I said, since 2010 we decided to review it. It has been on and off, but as we are speaking, the draft is with the Attorney General, and we want them to speed it up so that it can go to Parliament for them to pass it.
A Deputy Director of the Veterinary Services Directorate, Dr. Geoffrey Akabwa, highlighted the role of the Directorate in ensuring food safety in the country.
The Veterinary Services Directorate carry out the above stated mandate through the following activities. 1. Inspection and surveillance. 2. Risk assessment and management. 3. Traceability and documentation. 4. Emergency preparedness. 5. Training and sensitization. The Directorate wish at this juncture to assure the general public that we will not relent on the activities mentioned above so as to ensure that the food you consume is safe.
This year's World Food Safety Day is themed Food Safety, Preparing for the Unexpected. Now, residents, particularly traders in Echim-Amanfrom, a major fishmongering community along the Volta River in the Kwewu-Amanfrom Plains of the eastern region, are demanding the construction of a bridge across the river to aid their movements and business. The pontoon is currently the only reliable and safe means of transport for communities located on either ends of the riverbank. Their worry is that in case of any breakdown, their inability to hire a boat or canoe to cross the river could cost their lives and livelihoods. MFA Etiamwa Eli traveled the stretch and interacted with them.
I free hakosi donko kromanya. I walk and I do bedroom kwanu. Ye kwanu e wo ha no no. Free e ha kodonko krom kwanu. And then Vuroga hasi ho, wala vuroga hola biosita asisi ogala motegbe asiavavamo.
Frustration, exhaustion from persistent disapproval, and bottled up anger all waiting to explode. This is perhaps the best way to describe the mood and condition in which residents and traders at Echim-Amanfrom find themselves. They are certainly not in favor of what has become a norm. As tax-paying citizens, they deserve an equal share of the national infrastructure. All they want is improved road infrastructure, and where that will not be possible anytime soon, a bridge to safely cross the Volta Lake to enable them go about their daily chores.
Yesere ye mpanifoɔ sɛ ɔmotwa ɔmani no ɔmomɛhwɛ yɛn apemfoɔ ne nkwala na yɛ mmɔbɔ choro kokromo vado afram press echi amomonyo.
Traders of the popular smoked Volta delicacy known as akosombo fish who ply their trade here say their businesses are collapsing. It's expected that they engage in such a trade because their natural habitat is along the Volta Lake. Unlike visitors or public sector workers who use the route as a transit, their home and livelihood are around the lake. The harsh economic conditions have not spared them. In fact, their condition has worsened. Vena, Comfort, and Mamadura have plied their trade here for over a decade. They are not happy about the state of affairs, particularly at Echi Amanfrum.
Yanya de tonfon so ye wo kwan yi hu ba bia yeti yenya edwa ketwa apatemu anke ye betena esan se ha yeti ye ne so de wo chena tena ho aye oha wo bebre amayen enne ye beto ochena ye nto ade eto no ne kwa na ekosoro sabe yesra o mampeni ni mpenifo sai omo meboan.
Travelers to and from Afram Plains have only two routes to reach their destinations. It's either via the Eastern Corridor Road through Pando or through the eastern region town of Kwu, continuing with the pontoon to the other side. The long distance involved in using the Pando stretch compels most travelers from the central and southern parts of the country to prefer the pontoon after going through the Kwu Ridge. The pontoon is just one, carting both cargo and passengers across the lake every other hour. If you miss it on whichever side of the river you find yourself, you will need to wait 1 hour for its return and almost another hour for loading before takeoff. Dora and a cab driver fear that in case of emergency, lives could be lost if the individual is unable to afford the cost of hiring a boat.
Ya kwan free akosi donko kromanye awo kan we do bedru kwan mu no wawu aha so bridge nda nsuo no so panto yi sey a uni ska ba han boat obewu ada nsuo na no
chikrum wa say no ye how no de do so pa ye brepa nya easy we no pa na nka say me twa first panto na menko but because of panto nti no e kwan ni so nti my ya nti menko for nyina mo adwa na aja me nti aka menko nti sira fe na masamba do different bu fufuro asana menko.
Despite their years of experience in the craft of smoking fish, these traders often watch their fish go bad because of the poor patronage, which they blame on the poor and tortuous access to their markets. This community's plea for a bridge is not just a call for convenience, but a cry for survival and economic stability. For the residents of Echi Amanfrum, a bridge over the Volta River represents a bridge to a better future. My name is Amafa Awenam Atiamwa Eli. For Joy News, Echi Amanfrum.
That's it for your midweek edition of Prime Business. But before I go, I leave you with Executive Secretary of the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization, Dr. Robert Floyd, making a call for a continued global effort to enhance a comprehensive ban on nuclear testing. I am Emma Davis. For more business news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a good evening.
Promoting his visit to Hiroshima last year during the commemoration of the atomic bombing's anniversary, Executive Secretary of the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization, Dr. Robert Floyd, shared a sad story of a child-shared tricycle found a kilometer away from the blast center. He underscored the unique devastation of nuclear weapons.
Just 600 meters above the ground, the largest, almost instantaneous obliteration of human life ever seen on Earth. Visiting the Peace Memorial Museum in Hiroshima now, you see photos of those affected. You think about things you don't want to be thinking about. You see things that were found after the explosion, things you cannot forget, including that tiny, charred tricycle, found a kilometre away from the blast centre. Many natural disasters and massacres down the centuries, but nothing like that.
He also highlighted the moral and policy threats that nuclear weapons still pose today, 79 years after Hiroshima.
I addressed the UN Security Council and I asked them, imagine a colossal cube of TNT explosive, 300 meters long, 300 meters wide, 300 meters high. All of TNT. Can you imagine that? A cube 300 meters high would actually be the second tallest building in the whole of Africa. That cube of TNT represents the explosive power of the biggest bomb ever exploded. Yet the bomb itself was just 8 meters long. So small, but so powerful. Today, 79 years after Hiroshima, nuclear weapons are still with us. The policy dilemmas and the moral dilemmas still with us. And the legacy of those nuclear tests still with us.
Director General of the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, Professor Samuel Dampari, outlined the assistance his outfit provides in the fight against nuclear testings.
Furthermore, the National Data Center has contributed immensely to seismic hazard studies of Southwestern Accra, that is Wida, Bawi, Makati Hills, and its environs, where major geological fault lines have been identified. Distinguished guests, notwithstanding how far we have come in the implementation and compliance with the tenets of the treaty, we recognize there is still room for improvements, bearing in mind that the CTBTO implementation has legal, scientific and technical, international relations and diplomacy, and regulatory aspects. Ghana finds the need to improve human capacity and competence in all these areas in furtherance of the objectives of the
established to prevent nuclear explosions worldwide, the CTBTO plays a critical role in monitoring and enforcing compliance with the CTBT. Ghana, a signatory to the CTBT since 1996, has established a CTBT National Data Center at the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission to support international monitoring efforts to enhance its capacity to detect and respond to nuclear test explosions.